This #1 Bitcoin chart predicts what's next for crypto after 100K. We're reacting to Altcoin Daily today. Let's get into the video.
We're closing in, as we said, 100. When does that happen, sir?
Bitcoin is on the cusp of breaking out, breaking above $100,000
to the moon, baby.
Bitcoin for the first time in history. Some people are asking the question, am I too late? Am I too late to buy? Or is this rally just getting started? Well, let's look at the on-chain data and see exactly where we are in the cycle. Seriously, watch today's whole video because there's one chart that truly does predict where crypto's headed next. And let's just remember the paradigm shift that just happened.
What I think listeners have to understand is when Donald Trump got elected, there was a paradigm change. And we have a hard time trading paradigm changes. What I mean by that is 4 years with a really harsh regulatory and political climate for people in this industry, and now wide open. The entire cabinet almost owns Bitcoin and is proponents of digital assets. I mean, Kennedy said his whole net worth is in Bitcoin. So the people around that table are very
very pro crypto. I literally just talked about this in the last video I dropped, and I'm going to talk about it in the next video I dropped, the altcoin video. So subscribe, giving out some super gems. Subscribe. We have a pro crypto House, Senate, presidency, all red. So they're going to be able to push laws and regulations out like we've been waiting for forever. I've gotten to crypto just under 4 years ago, right? And I've been waiting for this for a long time. I can't honestly wait for what happens because it's only going to allow. I honestly just can't wait. I don't know what else to say. I'm yapping right now, but I can't wait. It's going to give us a lot more direction of where we need to go, and you're going to see a lot more money flow into the space.
This space. They're pro-innovation, they're pro-digital assets, they're pro-Bitcoin. And I think the rest of the world has to take notice, and we're seeing it. We're seeing it with buying from the Mideast.
And while Trump's pick for U.S. Treasury Secretary is a big Bitcoin believer, he actually just spoke at the Bitcoin conference.
If we do end up hearing that Senator Bill Hagerty ends up being a Treasury pick and he's called Bitcoin Bill, I mean, do you imagine that would be another catalyst, and could that push us beyond that 100,000?
Also, Trump's Secretary of Commerce, Howard Lutnick, huge Bitcoin accumulator, he's actively buying.
I have hundreds of millions of dollars.
Okay.
Okay, hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars exposure to Bitcoin.
But in breaking news, as of this morning, SEC Chair Gary Gensler will step down. He is departing from the agency on January 20th, which is a huge weight lifted off the crypto industry. We can now have clear regulation and not just regulation by enforcement without knowing the rules. In a direct quote from Gary Gensler, he said, "The Securities and Exchange Commission today announced that its 33rd chair, Gary Gensler, will step down from the commission effective 12 p.m. January 20th, 2025.
Mark that date on your flipping calendar. Mark it right now. I'll wait. Mark it down. Go in your phone. Write down that date. Because not only will Donald Trump be inaugurated on January 6th, when this date hits and it's official, where do you think we're going?
I thank President Biden for entrusting me with this incredible responsibility. So the Trump pump, and more importantly, a new regime has begun."
As a trader, though, if you're just trying to trade this, as you know so well, there are times when it blows through whatever you think the target is, and 100, you're saying now maybe it blows through that. There's also been these sort of remarkable retrenchments where, you know, it retraces 50%.
So what's next for Bitcoin? And the beauty of Bitcoin, because it's on 100% public blockchain, we have on-chain data that the elites, crypto elites, are starting to use. Most average people don't look at these charts. They really should, if you're invested in Bitcoin. And the Puel multiple, first chart of 3, I really like because it gives us insight into what the Bitcoin miners are doing. And the Bitcoin miners, who have a long history with Bitcoin, do usually tend to have their finger on the pulse of where we are in the market.
What the Puel multiple does is it tracks the current miner income in US dollars, which is generally how all power and capex is covered by miners, and it compares it to the yearly average of that income.
So in layman's terms, are the Bitcoin miners holding because they think prices are going higher, or are they selling because they think prices are sort of toppy? The Puel multiple is calculated by dividing the daily issuance value of Bitcoin that are mined into existence every day by the 365-day moving average of daily issuance value. This allows us to start to see the trends.
And what this provides is an indication of when we have a high degree of profitability relative to that yearly baseline, which can then create an incentive to sell, or in periods when we have very poor profitability, suggesting that there is some form of income stress and potential miner capitulation that can then change the overall hash share as it's distributed across the network.
And how I like to use this chart, and by the way, hit the like button if you appreciate this alpha, but I use this chart by looking for extremes. For example, if we're getting...
Sorry, I know I'm being very quiet. I'm actually paying attention. You should be paying attention as well.
a high extreme, that means the miners are more incentivized to sell.
If we're looking at very high values of the Puel multiple, it's suggesting that the current daily income is much higher than their yearly average, and that very high profitability is creating an incentive to sell, which can then create an increase in the overall liquid supply as miners liquidate parts of their treasury in order to take advantage of that market strength.
Or, of course, if we're seeing a very low value, that means the miners have very low incentive to sell.
And conversely, very low values of the Puel multiple suggest that the current daily income is substantially.
Pretty much all it's saying is when prices get too frothy, Bitcoin miners sell off. When they get too low, they hold their Bitcoin, kind of balancing regular supply and demand. That's all this really is. I'm just interested to see where we're going in the next 365 days, which is kind of what they're talking about.
Less than the yearly average, and that can generally suggest that there's a capitulation event in play. And at the end of large mining cycles, we can have a shift in the overall share of hash rate, where weaker miners have to drop off the network, turning off their machines. Stronger miners gain a larger share of the hash network, and therefore they can actually sell fewer coins in order to cover the same fiat expenses.
So what's next for Bitcoin? Where is the Puel multiple today? And we're really right in the middle of the cycle. Buying Bitcoin today, in terms of how profitable are the miners and are they incentivized to sell, buying Bitcoin at today's Puel multiple value is like buying Bitcoin right here. Look for that dot above. Like right here, look at that top dot, last cycle. Or like buying Bitcoin, if we're looking back in 2017, like right here in the 2017 bull run. So Bitcoin miners do sell some every day typically, but they also do hold a lot every day typically. And looking at the long history of how miners have reacted, we are nowhere close to the end of this Bitcoin bull run.
You have no idea how long I've been waiting for this moment to finally hit the altcoin season and the real deal bull market. Buddy, I've been waiting for 1.5 years for this. The last market ended so abruptly and so violently to the downside that like I've been waiting for this time in history to come, especially the fact that now we don't have the US government fighting us every step of the way. We don't have China banning Bitcoin and crypto in their country. Shanghai actually just passed a law saying that it's okay for citizens to hold Bitcoin and other cryptos as well. So this is probably the most bullish time we've ever seen for this asset class. And I think that a lot of our targets are very conservative because of what happened last time. We kind of have a lot of PSD from 2021 when we had that kind of that double top. And I think that bull market got cut short. But now, as far as we can see, as of right now, there's nothing that could really slow that down this time around. So extremely excited to see what's coming next.
Normally you hit 100, you bounce off of it. I would not be surprised if, we go much higher. We're in price discovery. There's not a lot of supply. There had been a giant seller for the last week between 92, 93, and 94. Probably $14, $15 billion of Bitcoin sold there. I know because we saw the buying. Not us personally, but the U.S. market.
Now, of course, it's not just about one metric, one chart. It's about reading multiple charts, pulling from multiple data sources, so I can make the best decision for me as a crypto investor. I really want to recommend you subscribe to Altcoin Daily because we drop one video per day.
subscribe to these guys, subscribe to me as well. I'm going to be reacting to a lot of these videos all throughout the bull market. Altcoin Daily makes great videos. I also make great videos as well. I don't only do reaction videos. Teaching videos, I do a lot of altcoin type of videos where I talked about newer undervalued altcoins, yield farming strategies, launch pads. I do a lot of really good ways to make money and how we're going to be making money next year when the real altcoin season picks up and kind of takes off. So subscribe to me as well. Leave a like as well for me, please, and thank you. Appreciate that, bro.
Keeping you informed is really just one video per day, and over time you can start to become an expert in this stuff. So the next chart I want to show you is the Bitcoin MVRV Z-score. It sounds complicated, just stay with me. And actually, to get to this, we first have to understand Bitcoin realized price. Because we know Bitcoin's regular price is just whatever the coin market cap says, the regular price, now just under 100K. But Bitcoin's realized price, slightly
35.
different. Many people say it may be a more accurate way to value the network. And Bitcoin's realized price is the average price of the Bitcoin supply valued at the day each coin last transacted on chain. So what this assumes...
I honestly don't necessarily agree with this small part of the video. Because you can see here, this orange line has always stayed pretty far under to Bitcoin, especially in bull markets. Bear markets has gone actually lower. So I don't think it's a really good representation. I kind of like using the logarithmic regression bands, and I know that sounds like a bunch of like mumbo, you know what I mean? But if you just take the middle part of that band, it'll give you the fair value of Bitcoin. And usually at the tops of markets, we exceed or touch the top parts of that band. And in the inverse, in bear markets, we hit the lower parts of that band. So if you go on Google and you type in logarithmic regression bands, you should be able to find a chart. And I think that's a more accurate representation of where we might be in the market amongst some other charts as well, which I won't get into today. That's why you need to subscribe.
Say it may be a more accurate way to value the network. And Bitcoin's realized price is the average price of the Bitcoin supply valued at the day each coin last transacted on chain. So what this assumes is once you buy your Bitcoin, you put it in storage, you hold, and the only next reason you would move that Bitcoin again, an on-chain transaction, is if you want to sell. Why move your Bitcoin unless you want to buy or sell? So this is the average of that realized price of the last time all Bitcoin in supply did that. Today's average price is closer to 35, probably pushing $45,000 today. To me, this says if the worst should happen and the bear market started today, we typically won't go under or won't spend a lot of time under that realized price. And actually what I think we'll see, because I don't think we're going into a bear market, but I think we'll see in the bull markets that realized price gets brought up to a more fair value.
I will say though, this realized price isn't that bad. Just because it gives you an idea of, I guess, the broader general like billions, like I'm guessing that's what that is. What they realize the price to be at and not necessarily what it should be at, or it's not really parity with what the price is at the moment, but I digress.
But anyway, understanding realized price, let's move on to a really interesting chart, Bitcoin MVRV Z-score. The MVRV Z-score evaluates whether BTC is overvalued or undervalued relative to its fair value. So this uniquely compares the regular market value of Bitcoin to the realized value, meaning this is comparing the two, charting it over time, and it's been a pretty clear indicator of when Bitcoin's near a top.
So the way to think about this, and for any of you who've been kind of absorbing our video content or our webinars in the past, you'll know that I love to bring in the layer of human psychology. So if the MVRV ratio is basically charting out current price, which is market value, spot price, market cap, divided by realized price, which we often consider to be the acquisition price. So the current value divided by the acquisition value, that will give you a profit multiple. When it's above 1, it's going to give you we are in profit. When it's below 1, it's going to give you we are in loss on average. And the psychological concept here is that at some point in time, everybody sees a green enough number in their portfolio that they feel motivated to sell. And likewise, at the very, very bottom of bear markets, there's only so much pain that the human can take. And when we look at our financial portfolio and it's just red, 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 at some point in time, that elicits the same response of people flushing out their coins. So that's why it tends to work on these extremes. We're looking at points in time when people become exceedingly likely to distribute their coins, and that generally triggers some kind of cycle change.
And what does this chart tell us today? Again, we're right in the middle of the cycle. The time to buy was back in 2022, end of 2022, clear buy zone.
We're in a very exciting time in the markets right now. We have altcoin season that's about to start within the next 2 to 3 months or so, where you're going to see a lot of these coins that are sitting at maybe a couple tens of millions of market cap shoot up to closer to $1 billion in market cap and so on and so forth. You're going to see a lot of these currently $1 billion market cap coins shoot up to tens of billions. You're going to see a lot of coins that are in 100 million shoot to billions. You're going to see a lot of these small caps that are in the hundreds of thousands and a few million to shoot up to hundreds of millions of dollars in market cap as well. And I think the one thing everyone's forgetting is that everybody on the globe is participating this time around. It's going to be an arms race to see who can get all the Bitcoin first. If you didn't hear, this small country named Bhutan, I think it's in like Southeast Asia or something like that. It's a very small country. Their entire GDP is like 8 billion and they already own $2.9 billion worth of Bitcoin. And they've been mining Bitcoin using natural resources quietly, not really telling anyone. And now they have, well, by the time the top of the market comes, we'll have the same, if not more, in Bitcoin value as their GDP, which is absolutely mind-boggling. But this is why America's looking to stockpile Bitcoin, because they know, like all of us know, they're in the space. As time goes on and the value continues to increase and the dollar continues to inflate, the price of these assets will only go up. And eventually we might be able to find ourselves in a time where, who knows, we might be able to pay off a big chunk of that debt, and that would only help the economy. So, anyways, thank you for watching the video. Like and subscribe to your boy, and I'll see you in the next one.